up off the street, away from all the smells. It's good rental property, low maintenance, good profit, pays to advertise. So this guy, John, comes to me and says he's looking for a place to celebrate Passover supper with him and some of his friends. That's not quite my normal family group. Just a group that hangs out together, I guess. Kind of like a club, kind of like Kiwanis. So anyway, he tells me he just needs a room. So I said, well, sure, I got a room, but it's going to cost you. And he asks me how much, and I tell him, and he says, well, that's fair. And then I say, well, you got to pay a deposit. Some groups do some real damage up here. And he laughed and said, well, there wouldn't be any damage. That's what they all say. But you know what? I believed him. I didn't charge him a deposit. I had to lie to my wife about that. She just screamed her head off, thinks I'm getting soft. So they get here about right before sundown. Scraggly group, but peaceful enough, I guess. It was weird. When they got here, they were loud and joking, but when they left, I don't know. It was like something had happened. And I guess it did. Well, for the first thing, they did not bring any servants. You can't hold a banquet without servants. I mean, I got servants they can rent. They said they didn't need them. So I said, well, who's going to wash the feet of the guests? I mean, that's custom. Your servants wash the guests' feet. You won't believe this. The head guy gets there, the one with the eyes, man, those eyes. He takes off his cloak, he hangs it up, he grabs the wash basin, and he starts to wash the feet of the others. I thought, well, what makes this guy the boss if he's going to do all the work? Like I told you, strange group. This embarrassed the others, I think, because without servants, they should be washing his feet. They didn't know how to handle it. They kept saying, we should be washing your feet. He just would smile and move on to the next set of feet and look at him with those eyes. Man, you should have seen those eyes. My wife is a good caterer. She's got her Class 1 license. Anything you want, Naomi can dish it up. You want a whole calf? She's won prizes for her Jerusalem deal. Chicken, roast, lamb, well, not pork. You know, we don't move pork during Passover. But these guys brought their own. Some bread, wine, a little fruit. I'd look in on them from time to time, and they'd ask me if I wanted to eat with them, but, you know, this is my busy season, with the holiday and everything. So the head guy, the one with the eyes, he sat about here, and then John, the guy who reserved the room, he sat next to him. The others, oh, I'd seen them around town, but man, I'm terrible with names. There were some fishermen, a tent maker, an accountant, a tax collector, I remember him. Oh yeah, one guy made me real nervous. Simon, real troublemaker. No friend of the Romans. I was surprised he wasn't in jail. So anyway, they were kind of a quiet group, and they just sat around talking. And then the head guy, I wish I could remember his name. He was a Nazarene. He started to talk. Well, then the room got real quiet. Well, except for him talking, and look at him with those eyes. Man, you should have seen those eyes. Well, I'm going to come clean. I stood outside the door and listened all night. Is that a sin? I own this place. I got a right to know what's going on. So this Nazarene, I think I'd heard of him. He seems real hot right now. He said, oh, not gonna lie, I wrote it down. He said, I really look forward to eating this Passover supper with you before I start my suffering. That's exactly what he said, suffering. I don't think the others believed it. But I won't eat it until it has come true in the kingdom of God. To tell you the truth, he started to lose me there. But it gets even stranger. Then he took this cup. Okay, I actually peeked in my place, remember? He took the cup and said, take this now and divide it among you. I won't drink it until the kingdom of God comes. Then he picked up a loaf of bread and he broke it and said, this is my body, which I am going to give to you. When you do this again, remember me and what I said tonight. You know, I've had some strange groups up here over the years. I don't care as long as they pay their rent. I've had some weddings that have gone on for days, but this group, this guy with the eyes, they were different. And then after they finished the meal, he raised the cup again and said, this is the new deal, friends. This wine is my blood. A new contract just for you. He said the wine was his blood. I'm not kidding. And he said, to make this all work, to make everything complete, one of you is going to betray me. Well, for a while, you could have heard a pin drop. This guy wasn't pulling any punches. He just out and out told him that one of them was going to turn him in. I don't know for what, but he knew it wasn't going to be good. Then it got noisier and noisier. They were all talking at once, saying how they never betray him. I think the accountant got tired of it because that's when he left. Then they started arguing about who was going to be the greatest someday. That's when he stopped him cold. He said, the greatest will be the least. The biggest will be the smallest. And then he looked at him with those piercing eyes of his and said, only servants will be the leaders. And as far as I can see, I'm the only servant here. Silent. That room got silent. It gets quiet up here a lot. Sometimes it's because everybody's drunk, but these guys knew they'd just been put in their place. They all left about an hour ago to a place outside the city walls near Mount Olive, Yosemite. Said they were going to spend the night there. They each thanked me when they left. John, the second last to leave, paid me. You can pay me a little extra. But the head guy, the one with the eyes, he was the last to go. And he said to me as he left, so what do you think about what you heard tonight? I said, what? You think I'm the type of guy that eavesdrops on people? And he gave me a look. And it was one of those looks you knew you couldn't lie your way out of. He said yes. There wasn't anything I could say. So I just stared. And he stared at me. And he smiled. And the weirdest thing happened. He smiled. And I started to cry. And I didn't know why. The tears just wouldn't stop. was if someone had looked down into my heart and knew everything about me and loved me anyway. Well, I don't drink, well, not much anyway. And I was stone sober, and I was blubbering like a baby. And I didn't know why. But I did know why. Someone had looked at me with a, I'll just say it, with a love that I had never felt from another person, ever. And I cried. He turned to go, and then he turned back. After everything, I was afraid to look at him. But I did. And he looked at me. And he smiled. And he was crying too. For me. I got to finish cleaning up.
Oh man, is he gonna be in trouble? I mean, if I did something like that, I'd have gotten beat good. Oh, and his parents are strict too. Oh, and that thing that he said when he got caught? Man. See, we were all in town for the Passover. It was really wild. Like a big party that goes on for days. We did some of the synagogue stuff too, but it was mostly just a lot of fun. I was running around with some of my friends while our folks were out doing Passover business, and suddenly he was just, I don't know, he was just gone. I didn't see where he went, honest. Me and my friend Jacob were over by the guy with the trained doves. I turned around and said, "Hey, Jesus, did you see that?" And he wasn't there. It was like they thought I stole him or something. Mary and Joseph were looking all over for him, and they knew that he was running with me. So my parents started giving me the third degree. Where were you? By the doves. Where did you lose him? I didn't lose him. Where did he run off to? I didn't even know that he was gone. Like that, for about an hour. Now, if I had known anything, I would have told them. I mean, he was my best friend ever since they moved here from Egypt. We did almost everything together. We even took instruction at the synagogue together. Now, why would I want to lose a friend like that? And hey, we were only 12. Now, the thing is, about Passover, when you go, you usually go in a big group, like usually a couple hundred. So when we met to go back, I thought Jesus was with them, and they thought Jesus was with me, and it was just a big mess. About a day on the road, we realized Jesus wasn't there, and the whole caravan stopped and looked dead at me. Mary and Joseph went running back to Jerusalem, and my parents grabbed me and pulled me along with them. I was worried too. For about 3 days we searched. The whole time my parents asking me if I was sure that I didn't see where he ran off to. My dad made me retrace every step that I had taken in Jerusalem. Of course I didn't show him everywhere we went, but most of the places. About nightfall on the third day, we heard Mary yelling down the streets, "Joseph! Joseph, he's here!" The whole lot of us went running down the road. She had found him in the temple. He was there the whole time with all the old and important people. When we got there, Joseph ran up, grabbed Jesus and held him up high, and then put him right back down and said, "Jesus, where were you?" Mary said, "Didn't you know how worried we were?" And he just looked up at them, those big eyes of his, and you're not going to believe this. He looked up at them and said, "Why are you so worried? I have to do my dad's business." And Mary just looked at Joseph, and Joseph just looked at Mary, and my dad looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, "I don't know what he's talking about." And here's the really weird thing. You could tell that Mary and Joseph had no clue what he was saying either. They just looked at him and said, "Okay, let's go home." That's it. Just, okay, let's go home. You know, sometimes when I'm in real big trouble, my parents don't punish me right there. They wait till we get home. Jesus is home now, and I bet he's getting good. Oh, and if he gets out of this, I hope he tells me how he did it.
Death in the family or anything. I mean, they're still alive, and I hope they're okay. But when you lose a neighbor, a really good one, I don't know, there's a hole, don't you think? It's been almost a week now, and every morning I still look out my kitchen window, and I expect to see him walking to work, and sometimes she'd wave at me from her window. There have been about a dozen families that have been by this week to look at the house, and every time I just want to run to the door and shout, "Don't buy it, they might come back." But I doubt that. The good ones never do. I guess it's not like this was really ever their home. I remember the day they came to town, and the donkey. You've got to admit, that was really odd. Most Egyptians rely on camels in this type of weather, and here they came riding into town on a donkey. Joseph, looking like he had walked every step of those 300 miles, and Mary holding the baby on the back of the donkey. Oh, it was a cute sight. Well, I didn't see them at first. My neighbor came running, asking if I could speak any Hebrew. My father had traveled a bit for Pharaoh, and so I had picked up a few words here and there. I found out the only 2 words I really needed were hungry and sleep. That got us by for the first few days until the house next door was ready. Oh, but their little one, Jesus, he picked up Egyptian right along with his parents' Hebrew. Mary would say it was embarrassing to have to ask the 2-year-old what the Egyptian word for oil was when they'd go shopping. Oh, I wish they were still here. Right there is where he would play in the mornings while Mary would do her wash. Well, it's a good neighborhood. You could do that sort of thing. She'd leave Jesus with my kids, and they'd take care of him like he was one of their own. Last night my Misha was crying, and when I went to her, she said she missed her little friend. He was what, just a year old when they had arrived and had just turned 2 when they left? My husband told me, he said, "Don't get too attached. They're just here for a short stay, just until things in Nazareth settle down." I don't know the whole story, but we hear the news. Mass murder of innocent babies. All of them. I can't imagine. Herod. One night I asked Mary how they knew they needed to leave. I'm not sure she trusted me at first, the whole Hebrew God thing. They were scared every day that they lived here in Egypt. Their accents gave them away, and even though we do have many foreigners in our country these days, it must have been frightening. especially with the baby. But she told me, well, Joseph had a dream, and an angel told them to leave that night quick. So at 3 a.m, they picked up everything they could carry, and they followed the caravan routes to Egypt, 300 miles. I can't imagine. But fear makes us do things that we can't imagine. And the cost? Mary said Jesus was given some wonderful gifts by special visitors shortly after he was born. I think they had to sell those to make the trip. But don't get too attached, he say. How can you not get too attached to such special people? How can you not fall in love with such a wonderful little family? In fact, one night, Joseph was sick, and Mary needed help. I was tired, and so I asked my husband if he would help. I wish you could have seen what happened next. Oh, no, he's good with kids. He's just, well, sort of stupid sometimes. I was in the other room working, and I heard him talking to Jesus about the price of grain along the Delta and when the Nile River might flood this year. Remember, Jesus was just 2 years old. But then it got quiet. I peeked in just to make sure everything was all right. My husband was sitting on the floor and Jesus was on his lap, and they were just staring at each other. I finally asked, "Everything all right in there?" But they never answered. Finally, my husband said, "Look at him. Look at him, Reba. Look at his eyes. Look at the way he's looking at me. It's like he can see something." Well, they were gone just as quickly as they came. One morning they came to our door and they thanked us for our love and for our friendship, and then they were off, back to Israel. I miss them. I miss them very much.
Think you've had a long day? Listen, Ahushka, you don't know what a long day is, okay? Such a day I've had. You want to hear? I'll tell you. I was sick. Not your runny nose, sneezing, headache, sick. No, sick. I'm talking fever. Or you could roast a bagel on my skull. They moved away the bed sheets so I wouldn't cause a fire, sick. I was delirious out of my head, sick. My son-in-law Simon came into the room and I thought he was a camel. Don't laugh until you've been as sick as I was. I was so sick, they didn't even have a name for it. And this was the day he invites guests over. His own mother setting the bed sheets afire, and he starts a party. 12 guests and me in the back room, mumbling about pomegranates and trying to stuff my pillow in my mouth. I thought it was the manna. I heard him say, "Quiet, my mother-in-law is sick." Oh, nice of you to notice. I'm dying in the back room while you drink wine with your friends and you think to mention I might be passing on. So good of you to notice. That's when I heard his voice. This Jesus. I'll tell you the truth. I admired this man and what he was doing until my son-in-law got involved with him. Well, since then I've been afraid for the boy. Too much attention, it's not a good thing. Well, this Jesus gets a great deal of attention. I heard him say, "Where is she?" Simon said, "In the back." And Jesus said, "Take me to her." Like I needed that. I mean, I have my pride. I was not dressed for guests. But before I could stop them, I actually could stop them, there they were. Simon was standing behind Jesus and whispering, "She has a fever." The boy's a genius. I'm lying there, drowning in my own sweat, and he guesses I have a fever. So good of him to notice. But then Jesus reached down and he touched his finger to my forehead. I mumbled something about the manna tasting like feathers, and he put his whole hand on my brow. I couldn't move. It was like cool water had just washed me from head to toe. A light came into the room and my eyes cleared and I could see his face. Those eyes. So I got up and I started fixing supper. I kid you not, I jumped right out of bed and I started baking bread for the bunch of them. Look, I'm a Jewish mother, okay? If you're hungry, I'll cook. But that's when it happened. Word got around that there were miracles taking place in our back room, and here they came. Every cripple and demon-possessed man, woman, and child in our city was outside our door, and he just stood there, lying on hands and driving out the demons. Don't look at me like that. I know what I saw, okay? Some of those people, they were so crazy, they were out of their minds, and he cured them, all of them. And of course, there's nothing that works up a good hunger like being cured of a demon, so I've been baking bread since 2 o'clock. You think you've had a long day? You don't know what a long day is.
I get in trouble. I mean, a lot. I used to get in trouble just a little bit when I was younger, but now when I'm older, my getting in trouble has gotten big. You see, Mom says I don't even act like a girl sometimes. She says, why can't you be more like your older brother? And I say, because he's a boy, and boys are always perfect. At least he thinks it is. You see, I've got this problem. I have to be first. I don't know why, but it really bothers me when somebody else gets in line ahead of me. Like when we go out for meals at synagogue, I have to be first in the door. When we come back to our class, I have to be first in line. I mean, it's just a thing I've got, okay? I can't help it. So we were in Judaism. Mom says I was even born 3 weeks early because I was afraid that somebody else would beat me too. So we were in Judea last week, visiting my cousins. And Mom woke me up and said, hey, Esther, there's a rabbi speaking out on the edge of the city today. Want to go? And I was like, oh yeah, Mama. I spend 5 days a week listening to rabbis in Hebrew school. And all Saturday morning listening to rabbis in synagogue. Gee, I'd love to go hear another rabbi. Have you ever said no to your mother? I mean, and lived to tell the tale of it? So I went. Of course I was first. First to get ready, first to run out to the hillside, first to start getting tagged with the adults listening to the rabbi. I saw him sitting there when we arrived. He wasn't old and wrinkled like Rabbi Mishra, or all bent over like Rabbi Mando. He had something really weird for a rabbi. He smiled. Then the Pharisees came. Man, those guys ruined everything. He stopped smiling when he saw them coming over the hillside. And when they got to him, they started asking him a bunch of questions about divorce and a bunch of boring stuff like that. Eventually, he got tired of all this, and he looked out over the hillside to where we were staying and shouted, hey, anybody want healed? Or something like that. I forget his exact words. Blessed. He said that too. He said, come and be blessed. Well, I didn't exactly know what blessed meant, but I saw a line forming, and before I knew it, all my friends were lined up behind me. And then his friend, me and Rabbi's friend, stepped in and blocked us off. Then the rabbi, you're not going to believe this. The rabbi stood right up and said, hold it. Let those kids come to me. This is just like the kingdom of God. Well, I mean, it's one thing to argue with the rabbi, but if you're going to argue with God, they did. They let us come right on through. And guess who was first in line? I couldn't see Mama, but I knew she was back there somewhere. I'm a bit embarrassed. But like I said, when I see a line forming, well, you know. So there I was, face to face with the young rabbi. He had the prettiest eyes you've He asked me my name, and I told him. He asked if I'd like to be blessed. Well, I'd never been blessed before, that I could remember. Probably darn if I was going to let somebody get blessed ahead of me. So I said, heck yes. And he did. He put his hand on my head and he said, Father, I give this child your keeping. Don't take your eyes off her. Well, I guess he must know me pretty well because I always need watching. What can I say? Cool, I've been blessed. How about you? Oh, shoot, the certain lineup. Don't know what it's for, but it's gotta be first. See ya.
Oh, would you look at this? Would you look at this mess? Who's gonna clean this up? And who's gonna pay me for it? So, here comes this terrorist or whatever, just as the crowds are starting to get big on Temple Day. I had my stand set up, but I had a big collection of product today. Doves, a couple sheep, a ram, and then here comes this wild-eyed man who starts turning over the tables, letting the birds loose. Oh, and that whip. He actually had a whip slapping at us like we were goats and shouting, "Get out of here! How dare you turn my father's house into a market?" I said, "Hey, fella, this is a market. This is where people come to buy their sacrifices for the temple." So he grabs me. The guy grabs me, and he stares me right in the eyes. And I froze. I mean, it was scary. Look at what he was doing. I thought he might have had a knife. No, he looks me right in the eyes, and he says, You understand." Well, I didn't understand. Look, people travel for days to get to Passover. They don't want to carry a bunch of doves in their pockets. They don't want to drive a sheep for 80 miles when they can buy one right here. The synagogue sells the licenses. I'm not breaking any law. He is. Oh, and then he ran over to the money changers and he ditched their tables right out from under them. Oh, money rolling all over the floor, and as the bankers are scrambling around to pick up the cash, well, here he came with the whip. Look, when you come to Passover, you're required to sacrifice at least a lamb to God. I don't make the rules. God made that rule. You sacrifice, he blesses you. It's a simple equation. But let's say you're from out of town, or you've got the wrong kind of currency. Yeah, the temple only takes certain currency, so that's why we got the money changers. There we are, just trying to help people out, and then this wild-eyed madman who thinks he's God or something storms in here and well, look at the mess. Oh, the priests heard the commotion. They come running in here. They see the birds flying through the air and the sheep running all around, and they see this guy. Oh, and you could tell they knew him. They see him and say, "What are you doing? Who gave you the authority to do this?" Well, he turned his eyes on them and said, "You know." They acted like they knew, but I didn't. I said, "Hey, somebody let me in on the joke." Then they said to him, "Okay, do some big miracle to prove you have the authority." He was holding a pigeon, my pigeon, in his hand. He looks at it, and then he lets it go. And I couldn't catch it. It was my fastest pigeon. Then he said, "Tear this temple down, and I will build it again in 3 days." Right. Now that's just plain ridiculous. I mean, yeah, this temple's not as fancy as the first one that used to be here. But it took 46 years to build this place. I think it was a trick. No one was gonna tear down this temple, and he knew it. Oh, the guy behind me? He said, he's bluffing. So I looked into his eyes again. And he wasn't bluffing. But I think it was a sort of trick. And I don't think he was talking about the temple at all. I think he was talking about something else entirely. Well, he's gone now, and I'm left with this. Who's gonna clean up this mess?
I didn't see you folks. Folks with a tour or something? Well, this is it. This is the place you're looking for. There ain't no big sign or nothing, but this is it. Seems like I spend most of my time giving folks directions up to this place. You know it's good you came here while you was alive, because after you're dead, it costs you a lot more. This fellow over here, he was a banker. Rich man. In fact, that's what he did with his first fortune, is bought himself this fancy tomb. He and his family used to come up here and picnic in the summertime, just so folks would know he could afford an expensive grave. Over here, that's Petrus. Now, Petrus was a big man in his time. He was into camels. You wanted a camel, you went and saw Petrus. Now you need a camel, I reckon you go see somebody else, but he's dead. Well, they're all dead. Ones that are still here. Me? Well, I'm take care of this place. I'm the groundskeeper. These here are the grounds, and I'm the one that keeps them. They're going to go anywhere. That's a joke I like to tell tourists sometimes. Say, hey, ain't I doing a good job? I'm the groundskeeper, and there they are. Well, I try to tell folks about this place, but nobody believes me. I'm just a groundskeeper. But yeah, anyway, here's the one you're looking for over here. This is, I don't know what the big deal is. It's the only tomb up here that's empty. It belonged to a fellow named Joseph. Joseph of, someplace I can't pronounce, but he's dead now too. He bought himself a place over on the other side of the garden. He said it didn't seem right being buried in a used tomb. But it's all right. Come on up. Come on up now. Nothing up here going to hurt you. That's it. Now right there, that's where they laid the body. And that's where it ought to be right now. But it ain't. It's gone. You believe that story? I do. I was working up here when it happened, and well, I wasn't here when it happened, but I worked that day and the day before. Joseph had hired some fellows to carry the body in here, and then the government put around-the-clock guard on the thing. I don't know why they didn't just put up a big sign that says, hey, this guy scares us. 3 days later. 3 days. That rock got moved, he was gone. Don't you believe what you heard either. That dead guy did not move that stone, and no angel came down and rolled it away for him to get out either. No, sir. When that rock got moved, he was already gone. So why move the rock? But it wasn't for him to get out, and that's for sure. They must have moved the rock so we could look in. So go ahead, take a look. Look all you want. That's why they moved the rock. Who moved the rock? Well, lady, I'm on there. I tell you what, ain't fella big enough to move a rock like that behind asking any questions. All I can say is the rock got moved, and that's all I need to know. Nobody moved it for him to get out. Now, he was a Jew. Most of these folks up here were Jews. You see, Jews won't bury each other inside the city limits unless they're king or something. So they buried him up here with all the rich folks, all the dead rich folks. And these things are expensive. You got to carve them out, and well, I used to do that, and then I got a promotion, and now I just tell other fellas things like, hey, that's a little too wide, or go get to clean up that mess. Well, that's really all there is to see here. I mean, you can stay as long as you want, but it ain't like there's going to be a show or nothing. In fact, I thought it told me that. I came up here the day after it happened to see what all the commotion was about, and I was leaning into the tomb, and a feller came up behind me, and he said, "There's no need to look here. The show's already done." And I turned around and I looked into his face. Couldn't believe me. I'm just a groundskeeper.
It's silly, I know. Every woman on my street is preparing for Passover. Finding and burning the chametz, preparing the seder, dusting off the hadadah. Me? I unwrap this. It's cloth. Passover is a strange time for me. Everyone in my neighborhood, everyone in my whole city celebrates with joy and thanksgiving, but I find no joy in this season. I'm not really Jewish. Oh, I'm a Jew, I'm just not Jewish, you know, like the rest of them from birth. I woke this morning to the sound of children shouting as they searched out the leaven. Oh, that's a Passover tradition. You search the house for every crumb of leaven and then you burn it. The one that finds the most wins a prize. Some families will even buy extra leaven just to hide it around the house. Oh, me? Oh, I have no children. My husband is dead. And so while my city celebrates, I sit center alone. I'm not whining. I'm used to it. It's just to call this season a time of joy. Well, there are other times for that. I have wonderful neighbors. They all invite me to sit center with them, but I refuse to be the maiden aunt. You know, the nice old widow who sits in the corner and smiles and nods and is not really part of the family. Maybe that's my sadness at Passover. Despite its origins, it's become a time of family gathering, and well, I've never had a family that gathered, or even wanted to. I wonder how much longer this will last. Longer than me, I suppose. Maybe if I kept it wrapped. You know, protected from sunlight. But for what? No one really cares about this old rag but me. And there's no one left alive that even knows that it's here. I'm Roman, at least by birth. I'm from a family of soldiers. My husband was killed in southern Italy. My father, he died in the Western campaign, but his battlefield, a roadside inn. His weapon, red wine. didn't even want to go to the funeral. But Mother said, oh, it would reflect poorly on the family if we didn't go. So we dressed in mourning clothes and we sat and listened while a Roman official spoke of the glories of being a soldier, never mentioning that he had beaten his wife and children, ran away to join the army, and died at the hands of a jealous husband who found him sleeping in his stable. Well, Rome was crumbling quickly, and that whole funeral was just a farce of public relations. Maybe if I didn't unfold it, or the creases are beginning to tear. Oh, and my grandfather, the noblest Roman of them all. He served Rome at a time when cruelty was admired. It was even rewarded. Oh, and if that cruelty extended to your family, oh, so much the better. Just proved your manhood. And according to Mama, grandfather was the cruelest of them all. His job was to take innocent young Roman boys and turn them into killers, who were not only good at what they did, but actually enjoyed the very act of killing. And when grandfather was in Rome, oh, he had the choice of assignments. In his words, he executed only the very best. The very best. Oh, he drank and he gambled his way through every execution. And if it was botched, if the victim was still alive, he'd simply do it again. And again. There was no reward for efficiency. It was just pure entertainment value. I guess it kept the family fed. Oh, not the soldier's pay, but the booty that he would bring home from his victims. Rings, jewels. My grandmother said, oh, she was the finest dressed woman in her neighborhood. And it was all brought home from the bodies of my grandfather's corpses. The soldiers, they would throw lots for the spoils. But he had a secret. My grandfather, he owned the dice. And that's where this came from. When I was young, I wanted nothing to do with grandfather's treasures. But this was different. He regarded it with silence. He rarely spoke of it. And when he would bring yet another drunken lieutenant home to show him his trophies, he kept this hidden away. He kept it wrapped up. If they would ask about it, he'd say, that has no meaning. No, that's just from some lunatic carpenter. But he never threw it away. Oh, it is worth nothing. It's mud and bloodstained. Most families would just toss it into the fire. But I could tell, just by watching him, that it did have meaning to him. I think it was something that he couldn't even speak of, something that he didn't understand. You know, it's strange. We often want to hold on to a piece of those that have gone on before us, even if they're not worth remembering. He wasn't like most drunks. When he was sober, he was downright dangerous. But when his head got filled with wine, he became much more gentle and talkative. Once as a little girl, I climbed up to his wine-soaked lap. I asked him about the cloth. He told me the most amazing story. It was about an execution. It was near Jerusalem. The man was a Jew, but his crimes were never certain. But grandfather, he knew it was an important event. It drew a really big crowd. Well, they put the man on the cross, and then someone noticed that his cloak was seamless, worth a shekel or two. So grandfather got out his dice. Just the week before, he had helped execute a Roman senator. And so he didn't really want the cloak, so this time he used real dice. And this was the strangest thing, he said. He rolled the dice and he won. He rolled the dice 7 times and he won every single time. He said it was almost as if he was meant. He was drunk. Well, he was about to toss the cloak into the crowd when he looked up. He looked up. And when he told me this, his reddened eyes just misted over. He said when he looked up at that man on the cross, that man's eyes looked into the eyes of my grandfather. Said he wanted to look away, but he just couldn't. He said it was as if that man's eyes just held him. I was just a little girl. I'm probably just imagining things, but I swear, when I looked into my grandfather's drunken eyes, I could see. I could see. Oh, Seder's begun. I can hear the prayers. Must attend to mine. I should throw this away, but I won't.
Please accept these stories as a gift from God, as we are all bystanders. Thank you so much for coming.